this lesson, we will learn to punctuate direct speech when spoken words are split by non-spoken words. We will be using key vocabulary such as direct speech, inverted commas, reporting clause, comma. So let's have a look at our focus text. We've got two characters, Mirren and Hamish, and they are having a talk about something. "What was that terrifying noise?" asked Mirren, looking behind her. "It sounds like a dog barking," said Hamish. "I think they're using it to find us." "I heard it before," said Mirren, "but this time it's louder." So we have this story here. We've got two characters. Two characters are talking to each other. We know they're talking to each other because we've got speech marks around the words that they're actually saying. And we've also got the way the story is written, or the way the text is written, because we have paragraph and then another paragraph and then another paragraph, and each paragraph we are changing speaker. So we've got Mirren speaking first, then we've got Hamish in the second paragraph, and then we have Mirren in the third paragraph. Let's look closer at the first paragraph. In this paragraph we've got Mirren talking. It's a nice simple way of putting direct speech, because all the speech is contained in one chunk. We have a speech mark to start off, a capital letter to begin the speech, because the speech is a sentence on its own. We then have the sentence that is spoken with a punctuation at the end as well. Now, because this is a question, it's a question mark. So we have speech marks, capital letter, "What was that terrifying noise?" question mark, speech marks. We then finish that off with the reporting clause that's telling us who's speaking and what they're doing. We have asked Mirren, looking behind her. Finish the sentence with a full stop. And that is the way that we traditionally do speech. Now, this is a question, remember. Not all sentences with speech in them are questions. Now let's look at two very similar sentences. This time we don't have a question in the second one. So, "I heard a noise," said Mirren, looking behind her. Now, because this doesn't have it isn't a question, it doesn't need a question mark, we don't use full stops for Mirren's sentence, "I heard a noise." Because it comes first, we have a comma. So it goes speech marks, capital letter, "I heard a noise," comma, speech marks, said Mirren, comma, looking behind her, full stop. And the final one, we've got an exclamation because Mirren's screaming. So we can put an exclamation in. So we have speech marks, capital letter, "I heard a terrifying noise," exclamation mark, speech marks, screamed Mirren, full stop. So there are our three forms. If you are doing it, you either have a question mark, a comma, or an exclamation mark. And they separate the actual word spoken from the reporting clause. Sometimes we use said to split the spoken words. So for example, when Hamish speaks, he says two sentences, and "said Hamish" is placed between the two sentences. When we punctuate the sentence, we need to make sure that the speech marks only go around the parts that are actually spoken. So let's have a look at the first one. "It sounds like a dog barking," said Hamish. "I think they are using it to find us." "Said Hamish" is the reporting clause and is not spoken by Hamish. It's for the reader to know who is speaking. The rest of it is what Hamish speaks. So we need speech marks around those parts. So we've got two sets of speech marks because there's two parts to what he's saying. So it's speech mark, "It sounds like a dog barking," speech mark, "said Hamish." Then we open the speech marks again for when he starts speaking. Speech marks, "I think they are using it to find us," speech marks. Okay, so that's the important bit from there. What we also need to look at is the way that these speech is punctuated with things other than speech marks. So we have capital letters, because it's actually two sentences that he's saying. Hamish has said his first sentence is, "It sounds like a dog barking." His second sentence is, "I think they are using it to find us." So we have a comma for the first bit because it's just like like what we showed you at the start about the way that they punctuate, because it's just a normal sentence. So we have speech marks, capital letter, "It sounds like a dog barking," comma, speech marks, "said Hamish." Full stop. And then he starts speaking again. So we have, with a second sentence, speech marks, capital letter, "I think they are using it to find us," full stop, speech marks. In the final paragraph, it is very similar, except the main difference this time is that Mirren is only saying one sentence, but the sentence has been split up into its two parts. "I heard it before" is the first part, but this time it's louder. The conjunction "but" is telling us that what she's saying is it makes it a full sentence, just one sentence. So we have speech marks, capital letter to start her sentence that she spoke. "I heard it before, comma, speech marks, said Mirren." This time, because it is continuing the same sentence, it's a comma after Mirren. Speech marks, and again it's continuing the sentence, so we don't need a capital letter this time, but this time it's louder. Full stop, speech marks. So this lesson is about how we punctuate sentences like these final two that we have looked at, where we've got speech that has been split up by reporting clauses. So we've got a reporting clause in the middle of what the character is saying. Today you are going to look at some sentences that have speech in them that has been split, and you have to decide whether it's one sentence or two sentences that the character is saying, and you have to decide whether you are going to punctuate it with commas or with full stops or with question marks or with exclamation marks even, and making sure that you get those speech marks in the right place. It's going to be your job to add in the punctuation. The sentences will be there for you to copy and paste into your answer, but you must make sure that you add the punctuation in. Nothing else will need to be changed. Okay, good luck with that.